Now this is the moment everyone has been waiting for, because Tasha K has finally broken her silence, and what she's saying about Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker's marriage is turning heads fast. After weeks of rumors, speculation, and side-eye from fans, Tasha stepped forward with commentary that instantly reignited the conversation around what's really going on behind closed doors. And whether you love her or hate her, one thing about Tasha K, she never speaks without shaking the table. Her words are raising eyebrows, reopening old wounds, and making people question if the cracks in Kandi and Todd's relationship are deeper than anyone wanted to admit. Is this just internet noise, or is there truth hiding between the lines? Because once Tasha K talks, the internet listens, and this time, the silence she broke might change the entire narrative. The moment Tasha K opened her mouth, the internet froze, because when she breaks silence, it's never accidental. It's intentional, calculated, and always timed to hit where it hurts most. This time, her focus landed squarely on Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker, a couple the public has watched for years. Laugh, build, argue, succeed, and quietly weather storms behind the scenes. Tasha didn't come out swinging with accusations. She didn't drop receipts. She did something far more dangerous, she implied. And implication is the internet's favorite language because it leaves room for imagination to do the damage. In her commentary, she spoke about patterns, pressure, and what people don't see when cameras turn off. She didn't name everything outright, but she didn't need to. Fans filled in the blanks within minutes. Suddenly, old clips resurfaced. Old interviews were rewatched. Old arguments were reframed. People began connecting dots that may or may not belong on the same page. And that's how a new chapter of speculation began, not because something new was proven, but because something old was reinterpreted. Tasha's commentary centered on marriage strain, the kind that doesn't show up as scandal headlines, but as quiet tension. She talked about the weight of public success, private sacrifice, and how money, business, and expectations can pull couples in opposite directions. And the internet immediately thought, is she talking about Kandi and Todd specifically, or is she letting us draw that conclusion? Either way, the effect was the same. Fans who once praised Kandi and Todd as solid started questioning the foundation. Comment sections filled with lines like, "Low-key, I always felt something was off. She been carrying a lot lately. He looks tired all the time. Power couples still have problems." None of that proves anything, but speculation doesn't require proof. It only requires doubt, and doubt is contagious. What made this moment hit harder is timing. The internet has already been buzzing about Todd's emotional moments, Kandi's non-stop work schedule, and their public-facing strength. Tasha's silence and then sudden decision to speak felt like the match landing on dry grass. People assumed she knew more than she was saying. That assumption alone fueled hours of reaction content. But here's the thing about Tasha K. She understands internet psychology. She knows how to say just enough to keep the conversation alive without crossing lines that require evidence. She speaks in questions, not statements, in tone, not confirmation. And when she does that, the audience does the rest. Within hours, YouTube thumbnails screamed, "Is Kandi's marriage in trouble?" Tasha K hints at trouble behind the scenes. Did Todd push too far? Again, questions, not facts. But repeated questions shape perception. People went back to old episodes and noticed moments they once ignored. Kandi brushing off concerns, Todd pushing business ideas, disagreements over priorities. Normal marriage stuff now reframed as warning signs. The internet loves a retroactive narrative. It turns everyday moments into proof after the fact. Meanwhile, Kandi and Todd said nothing. And silence once again became the loudest character in the story. Fans split into camps. One side defended them fiercely. Every marriage has stress, stop projecting. The other side leaned into the theory. Tasha wouldn't speak if there wasn't something there. And a third group just watched, entertained, waiting for the next shoe to drop. The pressure of public marriage is different. When you succeed publicly, people expect perfection privately. And when someone like Tasha K suggests otherwise, even vaguely, it disrupts the image people invested in. Not because the marriage is proven broken, but because the illusion cracks. And cracks make noise. What's interesting is that Tasha didn't frame this as cheating drama or explosive scandal. She framed it as wear and tear, emotional labor, imbalance, the slow burn issues that don't explode, they erode. That framing made it believable to many because it sounded realistic, not sensational. But realism can still be speculative. Kandi has always been open about working hard. Todd has always been vocal about building together. Two ambitious people navigating love and business is complicated, But complication isn't confirmation of crisis. Still, the internet treats complexity like confession. And once the narrative shifts from perfect couple to maybe struggling, every future action gets reinterpreted. A quiet interview becomes distance. A busy schedule becomes avoidance. A neutral expression becomes stress. This is how public marriages become stories instead of relationships. Tasha K didn't say their marriage was ending. She didn't say there was betrayal. She didn't say there was a secret scandal. She said just enough for the internet to wonder. And wondering is dangerous when millions are watching. Now everyone is waiting to see if Kandi addresses it, waiting to see if Todd responds, waiting for body language, captions, likes, or unfollows to confirm or deny a narrative that hasn't been proven in the first place. That's the power of commentary in the social media age. A few sentences can shift perception more than a full confession. And whether intentional or not, Tasha's words opened a door that may not close easily. Because once a question enters the public mind, it doesn't leave quietly. Once Tasha K's words hit the timeline, the conversation didn't slow down, it mutated. This is the stage where speculation turns into obsession. Fans weren't just reacting anymore. They were reinvestigating Kandi and Todd's entire relationship history like something new had been unlocked. Old clips resurfaced instantly. Moments that once felt harmless were suddenly reframed with suspicion. Todd pitching new business ideas, now people called it pressure. Kandi juggling work and family, suddenly labeled avoidance. Normal marriage disagreements. Rebranded as red flags. That's how powerful suggestion is. Once doubt is planted, everything looks different. Tasha didn't accuse, and that's exactly why her commentary spread so fast. If she had made a direct claim, people would demand proof. But by speaking in general terms about marriages under pressure, about women carrying emotional weight, about men feeling overlooked, she allowed listeners to project those ideas onto Kandi and Todd themselves. And projection is the internet's favorite sport. People began saying things like, "I always felt Kandi was doing more. Todd seems resentful sometimes. They love each other, but love ain't enough." None of that confirms drama, but it sounds believable. And believability is all a rumor needs to survive. The next layer came when fans started comparing timelines. They pointed out how busy Kandi has been over the years, how Todd has pushed for joint ventures, how disagreements about priorities have played out publicly before. Again, none of this is new. What's new is the lens people are using to view it, a lens shaped by Tasha's commentary. And this is where things get tricky. Public marriages are not just relationships, they are brands. Fans don't just watch them, they emotionally invest in them. They root for them, they defend them, they project their own hopes and fears onto them. So when someone challenges the image, even subtly, it feels personal to the audience. Some fans went into full defense mode, saying Tasha was reaching, clout-chasing, or stirring trouble where none exists. Others said she was simply saying what people were already thinking. Both sides grew louder. Meanwhile, Kandi and Todd stayed silent. And once again, silence became a storyline. For some viewers, silence meant maturity, not entertaining gossip. For others, silence meant avoidance. The same action, two completely different interpretations. That's the impossible position public figures live in. Every move means something, even when it doesn't. What really intensified the chatter was how plausible the discussion sounded. Tasha wasn't talking about cheating scandals or explosive betrayals. She talked about long-term strain, about emotional imbalance, about how success can create distance instead of unity. Those are real issues, relatable ones. And because they're relatable, people assumed they must apply here too. Marriage fatigue doesn't look dramatic on camera. It looks like exhaustion, like routine, like being busy. Like not having time to argue because there's too much to handle already. When fans rewatched old footage with that in mind, they felt like they were seeing something new, even if nothing had actually changed. This is how narratives rewrite history. The internet also started questioning timing. Why did Tasha choose now to speak? Why break silence when the couple hadn't said anything publicly? That alone made people believe there was urgency behind her words, as if something was bubbling under the surface. But urgency doesn't equal truth, it equals attention. Still, attention is powerful. YouTubers jumped in with long breakdowns, podcasts debated marriage dynamics, and TikTok stitched clip after clip with captions like "Watch this again," and "This hits different now." Every repost reinforced the idea that there was something to uncover, even if nothing had been uncovered at all. And in the middle of all of this, one thing got lost: normal marriage reality. Long-term relationships go through seasons. Some seasons are quiet, some are busy, some are heavy. None of that automatically means collapse. But online culture doesn't thrive on nuance, it thrives on conclusions. The idea that a marriage could be imperfect yet stable doesn't trend. The idea that a marriage might be strained but still intact doesn't go viral. Conflict does, doubt does, what if does, and Tasha's commentary lived perfectly in that what if space. It's also important to remember that commentary does not equal insider knowledge. Having an opinion doesn't mean having access. But online, people often confuse confidence with credibility. Tasha speaks boldly, and bold speech feels authoritative even when it's just commentary. That doesn't make her wrong. It also doesn't make her right. It makes her influential. Now fans are waiting for signs. A caption, a post, a picture, a missing ring, a subtle quote. Anything that can be interpreted as confirmation or denial. And until something happens, the story continues to live on speculation alone. This is the exhausting part of public life. You're expected to perform clarity on demand. But what if there is nothing to clarify? What if the marriage is fine? What if it's just navigating real-life stress like everyone else? The internet doesn't like that answer. It's too boring. So the conversation keeps circling, feeding on itself, growing louder not because of facts but because of repetition. And the longer it goes on, the harder it becomes to shut down. Because once people emotionally invest in a theory, they don't want it disproven, they want it confirmed. That's where we are now. Not in the middle of a scandal, but in the middle of anticipation. Waiting for a response, waiting for a sign, waiting for drama that may never come. And that anticipation is doing more damage to the narrative than any statement ever could. By the time the conversation reached this stage, it was no longer about what Tasha K actually said. It was about what people believed she meant. And that distinction matters, because belief is far more powerful than facts in internet culture. Once a narrative takes hold, the original source becomes almost irrelevant. The audience finishes the story on its own. This is the phase where speculation becomes expectation. Fans stopped asking, "Is there trouble?" and started asking, "When will it come out?" That shift is subtle but dangerous. It assumes an outcome before anything has happened. And from that point on, every action by Kandi or Todd is judged through that expectation. A happy photo, trying too hard. A quiet week online, something's wrong. A business post instead of a family post. Distraction. Nothing they do exists in a neutral space anymore because the internet has already decided there must be a deeper meaning. This is what happens when public commentary mixes with parasocial relationships. Fans feel like they know these people. They've watched them grow, struggle, succeed. That emotional access creates a false sense of intimacy, and with intimacy comes entitlement. Entitlement to explanations, entitlement to answers, entitlement to truth on demand. And when that truth doesn't arrive, people invent it. The commentary from Tasha K didn't accuse anyone of wrongdoing. It didn't confirm betrayal or collapse. But it validated suspicion, and validation is powerful. When someone with a loud platform speaks on something people already half believe, it gives them permission to believe it fully. That's why the discussion escalated. Suddenly, fans were no longer analyzing just the marriage, they were analyzing roles. Who gives more? Who sacrifices more? Who benefits more? Who's more emotionally invested? These are questions couples themselves may ask privately, but when the internet asks them publicly, they become weapons. People debated whether Kandi's work ethic created emotional distance. Others argued Todd's ambitions added pressure. Some said power imbalances inevitably cause resentment. Again, all theoretical, all generalized, but theories feel personal when applied to specific people. And once the public assigns roles, the overworked wife, the frustrated husband, it becomes hard to escape them. What's often missed in these discussions is that marriage is not static. It evolves, it stretches, it bends. Two people can love each other deeply and still struggle with balance, communication, and expectations. That doesn't mean the relationship is broken, it means it's human. But humanity doesn't trend well, conflict does. So content creators leaned into the conflict angle. They debated who's wrong instead of asking whether anything is actually wrong at all. They framed normal relationship dynamics as warning signs. And viewers hungry for drama rewarded that framing with clicks, likes, and shares. The algorithm noticed and pushed it harder. Now the conversation isn't just online, it's everywhere. Podcasts, reaction channels, group chats, even casual conversations among fans who might not follow every detail but heard something's going on. That's how speculation becomes mainstream. And the longer it stays mainstream, the more pressure builds on the people involved to respond. But responding is risky. If Kandi speaks, every word will be dissected, tone analyzed, phrases pulled out of context. If Todd speaks, the same thing happens. One sentence can be twisted into 10 different interpretations. Silence protects peace, but it also fuels curiosity. Speaking offers clarity, but invites scrutiny. There is no winning move. This is the paradox of public life. Privacy looks suspicious. Transparency looks vulnerable. Either choice feeds the machine. What makes this situation even more complex is that Tasha K is known for provoking conversation, not closing it. When she breaks silence, it's rarely to settle a narrative, it's to open one. That doesn't mean she's lying or malicious, it means she understands attention. And attention thrives on unanswered questions. So now the audience waits. They wait for body language changes. They wait for cryptic captions. They wait for interviews. They wait for unfollows, reposts, or missing appearances. Anything can become confirmation if people want it to be. And that desire, the need for confirmation, says more about the audience than the couple. Because at this point, the speculation is less about Kandi and Todd specifically, and more about what people project onto them. Their own fears about marriage, their own experiences with imbalance, their own doubts about longevity. Public couples become mirrors. When a rumor cracks the mirror, people stare into it harder. But here's the quiet truth. No outsider knows what happens inside a marriage unless the people in it decide to share. Commentary can suggest, fans can theorize, but only the couple lives the reality. And sometimes the most radical act in a loud internet culture is choosing not to perform your relationship for validation or defense. Whether Kandi and Todd eventually address the noise or let it fade, one thing is clear: the narrative has already shifted. Not because of proof, but because of perception. And perception is sticky. It lingers even after the conversation moves on. This is how marriages get labeled without consent. Strong becomes strained, private becomes secretive, normal becomes suspicious. And undoing that takes time. So now we're at a crossroads in the story. Either the couple responds and reframes the narrative, or they stay silent and let the internet eventually find something else to chase. Both paths have consequences, both require resilience, both demand thick skin. But what the audience must remember is this: commentary is not confirmation, speculation is not evidence, and silence is not admission. Until someone involved speaks directly, and even then, everything else is just noise. And the noise is loud right now, but it won't stay loud forever. This is the point where every internet drama reaches its crossroads, where speculation either explodes into confirmation or slowly collapses under the weight of reality. And right now, the story surrounding Kandi and Todd's marriage sits exactly there, suspended between assumption and truth. After days of non-stop commentary, breakdowns, reaction videos, and heated debates, something subtle but important began to happen. The noise didn't disappear, but it started to feel repetitive. The same clips, the same theories, the same arguments recycled in different comment sections. That's usually the sign that a narrative is running on fumes, surviving more on curiosity than substance. Because here's the uncomfortable truth the internet doesn't like to admit. There has still been no confirmation of marital collapse, no verified crisis, no public fallout, just interpretation layered on top of interpretation. And when that happens, the story stops being about facts and becomes about pressure. Pressure on Kandi to explain herself, pressure on Todd to prove stability, pressure on their marriage to perform reassurance for an audience that doesn't live inside it. That pressure is heavy. Public couples don't just manage emotions, they manage optics. Every appearance becomes strategic. Every post becomes calculated. Not because something is wrong, but because anything can be made to look wrong once the internet decides there's a story. At this stage, fans are split into three clear groups. The first group believes Tasha K simply said what needed to be said, that marriages under intense work schedules and public scrutiny naturally face strain, and acknowledging that doesn't mean wishing failure. They see her commentary as realistic, not malicious. The second group believes she crossed a line, that speaking vaguely about someone else's marriage without confirmation invites unnecessary speculation and puts strain on a family that didn't ask for public analysis. And the third group, they're just watching, waiting, curious, ready to pivot the moment something new happens. What often gets lost is that none of these groups are actually inside the marriage. Kandi and Todd are not characters reacting to fan theories. They are two adults navigating real life, real responsibilities, and real choices. Marriage doesn't pause just because the internet is talking. Kids still need attention. Businesses still need decisions. Life keeps moving even when timelines freeze moments into narratives. That's why silence in this phase may not be avoidance, it may be intention. Choosing not to respond can be a boundary. Choosing not to clarify can be self-protection. Choosing not to feed speculation can be wisdom. The internet interprets silence as guilt because it expects constant access. But access is not a right. And marriage, especially, is not owed to public opinion. What's also important to note is how easily commentary becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When enough people repeat that a relationship is strained, that word sticks. It gets picked up by blogs, then by podcasts, then by casual fans. Suddenly the label exists independent of reality, and labels are hard to shake. Even if Kandi and Todd appear together tomorrow smiling, there will be people saying it's for show. Even if they don't respond at all, there will be people saying that proves it. This is the trap of public perception. Once the narrative forms, every outcome fits it. But here's the quiet reality most people don't want to hear. Many strong marriages survive long seasons of imbalance, stress, and pressure without falling apart. Many couples argue, disagree, and recalibrate privately without broadcasting it. And many public figures protect their relationship by keeping certain conversations off camera. That doesn't make them fake, it makes them human. What Tasha K's commentary really did was crack open a broader conversation, not necessarily about this specific marriage, but about how the public consumes relationships. We love the idea of power couples, but we struggle to accept that power doesn't eliminate struggle. When cracks appear, we rush to narrate collapse instead of complexity. And complexity doesn't go viral. So now the story reaches its natural endpoint, not with an explosion, but with a pause. Either the internet will move on, as it always does, chasing the next headline, or someone involved will eventually speak, not to satisfy curiosity, but to reclaim narrative control. And if that happens, it will likely be calmer, more grounded, and less dramatic than people expect. Because real life rarely matches internet drama. The biggest takeaway from all of this isn't whether Tasha K was right or wrong. It's how quickly a marriage can become content, how easily commentary turns into expectation, and how loud speculation can drown out reality. Kandi and Todd's relationship does not exist to be decoded, it exists to be lived. And until either of them chooses to speak directly, everything else remains what it has always been in this saga: opinion, interpretation, noise. The internet may demand answers, but peace doesn't answer to timelines. And sometimes the strongest response is none at all. Now I want to hear from you, because after everything we just unpacked, where do you stand? Do you think Tasha K's comments were simply realistic commentary about marriage pressure? Or did she cross a line by speaking on Kandi and Todd's relationship at all? Is the internet reading too much into silence, or does silence sometimes speak louder than words? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments, respectfully, because this conversation has clearly struck a nerve across the fanbase. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because if Kandi or Todd decide to break their silence, or if Tasha K responds again, you already know we'll be right back here breaking it all down, step by step. The story may be quiet right now, but in the world of celebrity drama, quiet never lasts forever.